You're listening to the All Day Ruckoff podcast, episode number 92. Welcome to the All Day Ruckoff podcast, episode number 92. This is your host, Brian, and I wanted to thank you so much for tuning in. The All Day Ruckoff podcast focuses on the GRT and rucking community and includes interviews, motivation, and advice to keep you informed and get you ready for your next event. In this episode, we're joined again by Stephen DeToma to talk about GORUCK Reunion and traveling for GORUCK events. With GORUCK Reunion Year 5 coming up next month, it seemed like it'd be a great time to get someone on to talk about the previous events, someone who had been there, and someone who had traveled for them. This is DeToma, so there is a ton of profanity in this episode. Warning you right now up front, all of the All Day Ruckoff podcast episodes are marked explicit, sometimes even if they don't have any swearing in them. This one makes up for all of those that didn't have swearing. So if you're listening to this with kids in the car or listening to this through a speaker, people present who don't like swearing, now is probably the time to listen to a different episode and save this one for later. That being said, this episode is awesome. Lots of really good advice from DeToma. And if you're traveling for a GORUCK event or you're headed out to Reunion, you should definitely listen to the entire thing. About a week and a half ago, I took part in GORUCK Constellation in Seattle. I did both the 6-hour and the 12-hour events. That was my first 6-hour. That was my third 12-hour. I put together videos for packing for the event, packing list PDF that you can download on the website, and went through the gear that's involved in that event. So if you're signed up for Constellation in the future, check that out. The 6-hour content is already up. The 12-hour content should be out very soon. And then AARs for those events are going to be out in the near future. A lot of fun, definitely different than your typical light, tough, or heavy event. And I'm glad GORUCK brought them back. Thank you so much for all the support. Again, final reminder, lots of swearing coming your way. Here's the interview with DeToma. So you went to the 4th year of Reunion. Did you go to any of the years before that?
4th year was Austin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. The first reunion I went to was San Diego. I don't remember the numbers. San Diego, so that should have been 3rd year then, I guess.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, they did Jax and then New Orleans. Yeah, and then then San Diego, then Austin. Yeah.
And they're going back to Jax in year 5.
Yeah, I am super bummed. I'm going to miss that, but that'll be whatever. I'll pick it up the following year. That'll be okay.
Oh, yeah. It's not like you're not doing enough as it is.
My wife's got an art show down in Los Angeles that I'm going to go to, that she got invited to go do. So I'm going to go hang out and, check that out for a while. So it'll be good. We'll actually getting out of town, go do something fun. But it happens to be the same weekend. I'm going to trade up and go with the wife. That'll be fun.
Yeah. Get some brownie points for sure.
Yeah. Spend all weekend looking at art and drinking in LA for a while. That'll be fun. Yeah. Austin was cool, man. That was a fun time.
For Austin, you drove there. Is that correct?
No, I flew.
You flew?
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, fuck. Yeah.
Gosh, for some reason I thought that you drove. You're doing like some cross-country thing. Maybe that's when you're moving from the East Coast back to the West Coast.
Exactly, yeah. When we drove back from Boston to Santa Cruz, we pulled through Austin. Our friend Nikki put us up there for the night. And then we went over, got some barbecue at Black's Barbecue. And then from there, it was like, man, we're like halfway. I just want to get the hell out of here and get back to the West Coast. So, but Reunion itself, Reunion was a train wreck of a trip. That was wake up in the morning, start drinking, get on the plane, fly down to Texas, and then just continue the shenanigans for 3 days straight.
So the tough was on a Friday night? Or was there even a tough that year? Was it just the light?
It was, they were calling it the tight because it was, kind of like not really a tough or a light, except the fact that it started at, I think 10 in the morning. Yeah, about that. We got to Texas Friday night, probably sometime around 5 or 6 or something like that. And we were staying at a hostel in downtown Austin, the Firehouse, which is like a converted firehouse they turned into a hostel. So that was pretty cool. And then opening party on Friday night, was at a little brewery that they picked out, and that place ended up not really being able to. I don't know. They were there for a couple hours, and then we all ended up moving to this dive bar down the street, which seemed to suit everybody a heck of a lot more.
What does it say about us?
Yeah. Well, I remember we were at the brewery, and they had like 4 beers on tap because it's a brewery that they're making their stuff, so they didn't really have a lot in terms of selection. And there was like a little roach coach out front that was making like chicken wings and stuff. And it was probably about like 2 hours in, and it was just like, hey, does anybody want to move this to the bar? There's literally a bar like a quarter of a block away, and it's great. And I remember walking into that place, and they had, I opened the doors, and Slayer's Raining Blood was playing, and I'm looking around, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is the spot. This is gonna be good. Like, sat right down and like bellied up to the bar and started drinking, and then like 15 minutes later, it was just like shots of Jameson and all sorts of crazy shit. It was pretty good.
So you flew down Friday morning. Saturday's when all the events are. Did you bring your weight, or did you just borrow something from someone down in Austin?
I didn't fly with my weight. I can tell you that, because apparently the only fucking person that's allowed to fly with weight is Jason McCarthy.
Right? Posting pictures in the Tough group. I can get it through TSA with his freaking blue ruck plate.
Yep, I saw that on Instagram, and I was just like, oh well, yeah. Apparently, for the owner of the company, you can just kind of pull this shit off. Whatever, that's fine. Like, oh god damn. Yeah, I can't. I didn't fly. I know I didn't fly with it. I know that because I've only flown with weight once, and it was 2014 when I flew to Phoenix for my HCLS. But I think that was before things got really prevalent and with people flying with them. So I went through TSA, they scanned my stuff, and they looked at it, and they're like, what is this? And I said, it's a resistance plate for endurance training. And they all just kind of looked at each other, and they shrugged, and they put it back in the bag, and they let me go. So
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I borrowed a weight. I must have borrowed a plate or something from somebody when I was down there. I don't exactly recall who, but the hangover was strong. So
that'll do it. I recently went down the TSA rabbit hole, and it sounds like you can't bring on an exercise weight that's over 5 pounds. So now I'm waiting for GORUCK to release like a convertible weight that breaks down into 4 or 6 5-pound sections, so you can get it through TSA.
I was gonna say they already released one. It's called a fucking sandbag. Like, you just dump the thing out, roll it up, and then fill it up and get off the plane. But I don't know. I don't like rucking sandbags. Those things suck.
Yeah, I'd rather go bricks.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Go spend like what, $9 at a Home Depot?
For $9, you get bricks and the duct tape.
That's what I'm saying, right? And then if you go the extra, like, go to like $12 and you hit a dollar store and you get the foam yoga block and then the cheap yoga mat, and you trim that fucker down and wrap it up like a nice Christmas present, you get some, get a pretty decent fucking spread.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what I would do. Without a doubt. If I couldn't borrow weight, I would just hit hit Home Depot. Get it sorted out for $10. Save myself all the hassle with TSA.
Yeah, no, I don't like dealing with those jokers at all.
No, they have power. They can prevent you from going from A to B.
Dude, they're like a fucking high school like hall monitor. You know what I mean? Like, they have like zero power anywhere else. But if they feel the need to like throw the smackdown in the confines of those walls, like, you're completely fucked. And if they don't like what you're doing, then they'll call the big guys with the actual guns and badges to come and fucking make your day even worse. So my plan is generally to get through those jokers as fast as humanly possible, and then not have to worry about shit from there on in, except for making my flight after clearing my bar tab.
It's the little things.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like not getting arrested, right?
Yep.
Oh god. Yeah, most of my memories of reunion are like kind of spotty because of like the lack of sleep and the drinking, and then I think honestly the clearest memories I have of that whole weekend were the actual event itself. Everything else that kind of surrounded it was just such a friggin' blur. Because you're moving so fast and you got so many people, and it's like hugs and kisses and let's do a shot and then let's hang out, and then it's like, well, I can sleep when I get home. I don't have to worry about that. If I catch 3 hours tonight, that'll be fine. Yeah,
and you're meeting tons of new people. Like, my brain always has trouble catching up whenever I not only have to like remember conversations but remember names and new people and all that stuff. Brain works too hard.
And like, you're Brian from All Day Ruckoff, so the second you get somewhere and somebody goes, oh hey, you're Brian, and you go, oh shit, Like somebody knows my name and I don't know their name. That's embarrassing. Except everybody knows your name because you're from All Day Ruckoff. Like, I get that to a smaller degree. People are like, "Oh, you're DeToma." I'm like, shit, here we go. Like, I don't know what's gonna come next after that statement.
I would argue that you might get that to a bigger degree because you have a patch after you,
Yeah, I don't know if you've checked recently there, homeboy. You have several patches.
but none with my name on them.
Okay. Also, when people meet me, they have to hear my voice for the first time and realize that I sound like an idiot. They get to hear the beautiful dulcet tones of, Brian Lohr once a week. So they can pick you out of a crowd, my friend.
But they're just listening through a nice microphone. When you hear me in person, you're like, phew, this was
Never meet your idols, kids.
yeah, beyond underwhelming.
Yeah, never find radio personalities in person. Oh god. So the patch that reminded me of so we drank heavy on Friday. Like I drank heavy all day because I was traveling and I had fuck all to do. Speaking of TSA, see, here we go, going off on tangents again, but I'll connect them all back together. TSA, when you don't want to pay money to drink on an airplane, you go to Target and you buy the little clear shampoo bottles that you use to transport shampoo that are like, 3 ounces? Because carrying liquid on a plane in 3-ounce increments is totally fine. So you spend $3, you buy 3 of those bottles, you take them home, you fill them up with Jameson, you put them in your bag, and then you go through security, and they clear you, and you get to the other side, and then you go to the first store that you can, and you pick yourself up a ginger ale, and you dump half of that sumbitch out, and then you fill the remaining portion of it with with whiskey. Then you get on the plane, and when the lovely stewardess comes by and says, "Would you care for anything to drink, sir?" I said, "Yes. Can I have 3 glasses of ice?" And then I have my own cocktail party at my table. So that's how the flight went. But
that's a pro tip I've ever heard one.
Well, that led directly into all of the other, horseshit drinking all night with everybody, and then being at the bar, and people buying shots, and hugs and kisses and photographs and all that crazy shit. And then I wake up in the morning and I'm blurry-eyed and I feel like there's like 2 dogs barking in my head, and I'm standing at the front of the line for roll call, and they're doing the thing where they read off your last name and you answer with your first name. So Mickey is doing the roll call, who, again, I've been drinking with, and he's going down the list, and he gets to my name, and he just says, DeToma, and I immediately go, fuck you, assuming, that's my first name. And McCarthy, this was the best one, is that I'm standing up front, and I didn't even think when I said it. It just kind of like shot out of my mouth. And 2 seconds later, I hear McCarthy going, "Really, DeToma? Really? Are you fucking kidding me? All right, everybody, get your fucking rucks up over your heads right now." So the entire class of, 60 odd people, I guess, rucks up over their heads, and they're holding there. He's like, "Okay, now find the bottom of the squat." And everybody gets into the bottom of the squat, and he goes, "Now everybody look at DeToma and say, 'Thank you, DeToma.'" And I look back over, and the entire class is glaring at me. Like, some of them are smiling, some of them are not, and they're all saying, "Thank you, DeToma." And McCarthy has us start doing squats as punishment because I shoot my fucking mouth off. And then we spent the rest of the day doing overhead squats. That became the thing all fucking day. For whatever the iteration we were doing, always overhead squats. But yeah. So yeah, a whole bunch of people knew who I was.
We were talking, last week about how holding your ruck overhead for an extended period of time is tough for some people. Like doing that and then coupling the squat, it's brutal.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, right? Like every once in a while you hit an event where the cadre decide, "Oh, we're only going to operate on one fucking punishment." It's only McCarthy's really good for that. He has like a couple of heavy hitters and he loves to just stick with the same thing over and over. I had one other cadre at one point. I can't remember exactly who it was, but his thing was bear crawls. I think it might have been Jesse. And the bear crawls, man, there was no push-ups. There was no, anything else. It was just, if you fuck something up, you're bear crawling out 100 meters and then 100, and then back out and then back. And it was just, man, doing that one thing for 12 hours, that'll just fucking kill you.
Especially bear crawls. Bear crawls, crab walks, inchworms, just crawling on the ground.
All the fun stuff.
It's the worst. That was the big thing back in the day. Getting off on a tangent. It was like, all right, we're all little snakes. You can't use your arms. You can't use your legs. Just shoulder, shoulder, shoulder. It's like, oh, now we're doing crab walks. Like going back and forth on those for like an hour.
Yeah. What was it fucking, I think it was Big Daddy used to refer to it as who's who in the zoo.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I just like, Now you're doing crab walks. Now you're doing elephant walks. Now you're doing fucking bear crawls. Now you're doing alligator walks. Oh God, those seal maneuvers. Yeah. Snakes. Yeah, just all of that shit. That's just, man. Yeah. What are you gonna do? That's what we pay money for.
Yeah, exactly. What are you gonna do? Quit?
Yeah. Yeah, you quit, you don't get a patch, right?
Exactly.
Man, speaking of patches, I got the package today for the 12 miler for the Ruck Club call out. That was pretty sweet.
Nice.
Except I didn't get a handwritten note from somebody at HQ whose nickname rhymes with fucking bomber. But I will allow that one to slide, assuming that, man, they said they had something like 1,200 fucking patches for that. Did you see that?
I didn't, but I believe it.
Yeah. Like 1,200 people like chiming in for that to just like, oh my God, holy shit. Like, I didn't think that there was going to be that many people that would line up to like, I mean, whatever, a 12 miler, it is what it is, right? Like it sucks. And if you haven't done one before, they really suck. And even if you're good at it, you can always be faster at it and make it suck worse. But I guess I didn't think of the 12 miler as being something that approachable that a whole bunch of people would jump onto. But man, I guess I was wrong. That's cool as shit that many people signed on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we were just talking to Dan about that, about how more people have to do a 12 miler.
And I mean, now I love doing 12 milers because it gives me like, 3 hours by myself, or like I can listen to podcasts, or I can, listen to music, or I can just do nothing and just move and have, just get away from people and, go out and do something. But I remember getting started, the concept of a 12 miler was one of the most like terrifying things on earth, coming from, the couch playing Xbox and then like, wait, 12 miles? That's like half a marathon. Like, no, fuck that. That's garbage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, what's that meme? Fucking, all the punishments I had when I was a kid are now all the things I want to do. I just want to be in my room, go to bed early, eat my vegetables.
That's just facts right there.
Yeah, pretty much. I want to go to bed early. I want to wake up late. I want to do my homework, shit like that. Yeah, reunion again. Yeah, so rein it back in here. Fucking man, reunion. Then we did.
Yeah, so you're at the line. They
got yelled at.
They call out your name. You've got your response back, and everyone's all of a sudden in the bottom end of a squat with the ruck held over their head. Yep,
got yelled at a whole bunch. That was fun. Which, whatever. It is what it is. It happens. We did the deck of cards was the first thing that we went into, the basic iteration. So we were there probably, I mean, you're talking 45 minutes to an hour anyway. Just kind of chipping through that. But it wasn't, like a smoke show, like Bloodfest or anything.
What was the vibe of the event? I mean, because you've been at lights where it's just crushing people into the ground. I mean, you ran a custom light that made people,
that was designed to
that was designed to ruin people. Yeah, I mean, so you've had both ends of it, I'm sure. Then you've had the events that are you've done Baldrick's, which is an event that kids do. So,
man, I love Baldrick's. I am so looking forward to that next weekend. That's going to be a blast.
Yeah, so you've played both ends of the event side, the incredibly tough stuff and the stuff that's more meant to have fun. What's the feeling at the reunion event that you were at?
Yeah, even San Diego the year before, being like a proper overnight tough, even that had a really, I don't want to say like a chill vibe, because you're still kind of trying to get what you pay for, and you're still trying to get a little bit of work in. But it was the purpose of it is to actually have a when I first heard about it, I thought of reunion, and I'm like, well, who the hell am I reuniting with? Like, who am I getting back together with? I don't even know half these people. Like, or if you know them as a personality from the internet. You don't necessarily know them as friends, because you haven't really done anything together. And there's that whole concept of, well, we're all GRTs. We all kind of have this shared suffering thing, and we can all kind of throw down and get together and know what's going on. But at the same time, it took a minute to really realize that you're reuniting everybody basically from the tough page. It's kind of a good way of looking at it. And you really get to know, like, you can basically walk onto the field and take a look around and be like, oh, I know that person, or I know this person, I know that person. And you know them by personality, you know them from their name, you know them from posting, you've seen some pictures. And I think that's one of the first steps to really like breaking the ice, and getting everybody together. So that said, the vibe that they put out for the event is it's a little bit more lighthearted. It's a little bit more laughing, and it's a little bit more kind of laughing while they're smoking you when you are getting smoked. Because I mean, there was plenty of like overhead presses and all sorts of dumb shit, and it hurt. But while we were doing it, it was still fun. Everybody was having a good time. And in that respect, I would say, you know, if you're gonna make a journey to go and do an event, that's one to do. Like I was on the phone with my old man probably a week or two ago, and he was asking, you know, he's like, what do you got planned? My dad is now done 2 lights. He signed up for the Star Course. We're trying to get him into a tough, but I think he's still got to, you know, mentally, he's probably got to move a little bit before he can kind of do that. But he was asking me about the reunion, and he's like, you know, oh, what do you think about that? You gonna go out? And I'm like, I can't. I'm still on travel restriction from, you know, the cross country moves and everything. We don't really have it in the budget for me to fly back. But I'm like, you should go. Like, you should absolutely fucking go. And he's like, well, you know, I'm not really gonna know anybody. You know, da da da. I'm like, Pop, first, like the people that you have talked to online or the few people that you do know are going to be the doorway to everybody else. That's the thing. Is, as a metaphor, it's almost, you know, a challenge itself is almost like traveling and doing this. You know, you're just doing it at a further distance. You know, you sign up for a challenge, you show up, you don't know anybody, you're best friends with almost everybody by the end of it. This is kind of like a more concentrated, controlled experiment with those parameters. You know, here's this thing, come here, meet these people, get together, and then, you know, have a blast. So that's kind of a long-winded way of saying, yeah, they facilitate a pretty good attitude when you're there so that you actually have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a ton of fun. And I'm excited that they're bringing it back to HQ this year because I mean, just like you said, GORUCK's going to have more control over the atmosphere, and I think they're having the party at HQ. So,
yeah, you don't have to worry about like the weird shit on the side. I mean, it's a known value, right? Like, being at HQ and being around the neighborhood, like they ruck those fucking neighborhoods every day. They go out drinking at the bars and the restaurants every weekend. So they know the ins and out of that town. They know where they can go. They know what they can do, what they can get away with. They know where the nearest, you know, supermarket or liquor store is to go pick up something if they run out. You know, just like little stuff like that. It's like, it's a difference between like trying to have a party at your house or trying to rent an Airbnb and go there and hope to have the same type of party. Like, you know, when you got home court advantage, it always goes off a lot better.
for sure.
I'm trying to find, like, as I'm talking, I'm trying to find pictures of the event that jog my memory. And I didn't post a lot on Instagram about that, apparently, but I've just got pictures of patches. Like, there's a picture of a shot of Jameson. There's a picture of a cider. There's a picture outside the Liberty that I don't remember taking because I was probably drunk. Like, there's a picture of tacos. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those are always the
Yeah,
mornings,
but,
right? You wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, please, did I not post anything online? Please say I posted nothing.
Yeah, pretty much. That's the thing, is that apparently, like, I think that's also a pretty good indication of what was going on. Is if I'm not posting a lot of pictures, or if I'm not really like spending a lot of time online, things that are happening in real life are probably way good.
Yes. Yep. I mean, that's what happens when, you know, you do events and stuff. It's like there's hardly any pictures from that before or after, but it's like that's because we're having so much fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally fine with that. All I remember is that I had a blast and I don't have to worry about it. I did just find one picture that I had posted on Instagram. I was apparently in the coach. So I woke up in the morning and so you can take this coach from Metro West Boston into actual Boston to Logan Airport. So it was like a 15-minute ride from where we were staying in Massachusetts into it's called Logan Express. And then I met my buddy Bill at Logan Express. We got on the coach. We were going to ride the bus to Logan Airport, then get on the plane, then fly to Texas, et cetera, et cetera. And so I wake up in the morning, and the conversation that I had with my wife that I reiterated online says, my wife says, "Don't do anything stupid." I respond, "I can't promise that, but I can promise that if I won't get caught if I do." And then I pulled out my flask. She was dropping me off. That's what it was. She was actually dropping me off at the motor coach. And she's like, "Don't do anything stupid." I'm like, I can't promise that, but if I do anything stupid, I promise I won't get caught. And I pulled my flask out of the back pocket and take a hit. And she's like, "It is 8:30 in the morning. What the hell do you think you're doing?" I was like, "I can't drink all day if I don't start in the morning. I love you." And like close the door. And she's just like shaking her head and driving away. And that's how I started my day. And it was just like, it just got more ridiculous from there. So, yeah, it was a good trip.
I mean, that's only the truth, right? I mean, how do you drink all day if you don't start in the morning?
Facts is facts, man.
Common knowledge.
Can't mess with science.
So have you flown for a lot of events?
Not in the grand scheme of things, no. I've gone if I travel for events, honestly, most of the time we drive. Let's see. I flew to Phoenix. I flew to Phoenix in 2004. I'm sorry, 2014 for my HCLS. I took my plate on a plane there. I think that was the first time I really flew for an event or traveled heavily for an event. I should even for that matter. Besides ABSOC, but again, that was a van. I flew to yeah, really. Aside from flying, I flew down to Jack's Beach from Boston on selection weekend when Alex passed. I went down and I did Constellation while I was down there. And yeah, when we were in Boston, we were driving from, we would drive to New York City, drove to Connecticut for Sandy Hook, down to Rhode Island. Yeah, that's really the only couple times I've flown. And then Texas too. That was the only other one. Oh, I'm sorry. And I've flown from NorCal back to Boston to go do events with my brother Johnny. Still being separated like coast to coast. The first event that he was going to do was St. Pat's in Boston. So I flew out of San Jose, and there was 2 GRTs that were flying out. We knew that we were all kind of flying out together, and then we hooked up at the bar and basically we had all booked the same flight at the same time for the same event and didn't know it until like the day before. So we all managed to kind of get together at the airport and sit around and kill time drinking until it was time to get on a red eye going back to Boston. So
that sounds like a good time.
That was kind of like a happy accident. Like it's probably better that I guess that was like kind of best case scenario. Instead of moving through an airport and you bump into somebody and it's like, hey man, nice patch. Oh hey, what was your first cadre? What was your class number? Oh that's cool. All right, hey, I wish we had more time. Take it easy. I'll catch you on the tough page, and then they leave. This was like, we got to the bar, we sat down, and we're like, well, we got 2 hours to kill. And then I think at that point in time they had actually pushed our flight time back, so we ended up with like an extra 45 minutes. So it was just like, oh okay. So we ended up, having a couple more drinks and then got on the plane and took off. That was good. So we're flying back from Boston that trip, and so the 3 of us fly in. We all, and then we part ways. They're staying in, I think they were staying in South Boston, and I was staying outside the city with some friends. And then they're like, all right, well, we'll see you Friday night. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll catch up with you then. All right, have fun. Say hi to your friends. Okay. So we take off and we come back in. We do the event. We see him at the event. We get, we go through everything. We had Shredder for that one, Shredder and Cleve. And so we go through that event. We have a blast, finish everything up. And it's like, okay, it was my brother's first one. And at Index, he was like, okay, I think I'm good. I think I want to go home. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. So we got we got a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts and we got a bottle of Jameson and Irished up the coffees, and we went home and went to sleep. And then, day and a half later, I'm back on a plane flying back to NorCal. So I bump into these 2 GRTs again at the airport because we're on the same flight home. And it's like, oh, hey, this is perfect. Oh, yeah, let's sit down. We'll have a pint before we get on the plane. We're like, okay. And they had said, they're like, man, we got wrecked at the event. We got totally beat up. We actually threw down the extra money to get bumped up into, whatever the expedited class is, like not really first class, but, bigger seats up at the front. And I was like, no, you sons of bitches. Look at that. I thought we were all going to kick it back in steerage together, and you guys are jumping ship and going up and sitting with all the fancy folks. They're like, yeah, that's okay. So as we're getting on the plane, they're like, hey, what seat are you in? And I'm like, what seat am I in? Like 7C or whatever. They're like, oh, okay. Oh, they're like, that's not too far away. I'm like, yeah, whatever. All right, I'll catch you back home. I'll talk to you later. Okay, we get on the plane, and we go wheels up. We level off. Drink service starts up, and the stewardess comes over, and she's wheeling the little cart over, and she's like, hi, how are you? I said, I'm good. How are you? She said, are you Steven? I said, yes. She said, the couple at the front of the plane sent this to you, and she hands me 3 bottles of vodka and a can of cranberry juice. And I would look at her, and I was like, really? I'm like, is it like a man and a woman sit up at the front? Yeah. The one wearing the black hat? Yeah. And I was like, can you do me a favor and call the police? They've been following me since I got to the airport, and I'd like to have them arrested when they get off the plane. And the stewardess's face goes blanch white, and he's just staring at me for a second. And I was just like, I'm just fucking with you. They owe me a drink. It's fine. And I crack everything open and start mixing a cocktail. But for a good 30 seconds, I thought she was just going to fall out. It was fucking beautiful.
Man, that's quite the place for a joke.
Yeah, look for the opportunities. You can't just leave them hanging out over the plate like that and not expect to knock them out of the fucking car.
I know, right? Oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
So if there's anyone listening to this still,
if you haven't shut this off yet,
and they're going to be flying into Jack's for Reunion. I mean, you've traveled for at least a handful of events. Do you have any tips for traveling for GORUCK events? Anything that you make sure to do, or anything you try to not do?
On the overarching travel, there's overarching traveling for GORUCK events, and then there's flying into Jack's Beach, because I feel like they put the fucking airport and for Jack's in like Louisiana or some shit. So I guess you can kind of wrap them all up together. The first thing is, if you're going to fly to a new city, and if you're not connecting with the people that live in that city, you are absolutely doing something wrong. And I mean, you would expect, or I would expect that if somebody's listening to this and somebody's planning on traveling outside of their city to fly into a city and do an event, that they would at least try and connect with the people. Or I'm sorry, I would expect that they've probably done an event before. And then as I'm saying this, I'm thinking, well, hey, dum the first event that I did was in Newport, Rhode Island, and I flew from Santa Cruz, California, back to Newport, Rhode Island to go do that event, and I didn't contact anybody because I didn't know how. So that's the first thing. If you have the availability, if you can find the event page, which isn't really that difficult these days, reach out and say, hey, my name is so and so. I am flying from fucking Ice Planet Hoth, and I'm coming in to come do this event. Can anybody help me out with, directions, a decent place to eat? Where can I get some coffee? Hey, does anybody have a plate? Does anybody have a brick pack? Anything like that. Anything that you can eliminate that you don't have to fly with is probably one of the biggest things. I can usually get by going away for a weekend with, I usually do 2 rucks. On the way out, I've done, even to Boston, to be honest with you, I flew out to Boston for the St. Pat's Tough a couple of years back, and I carried a GR2 that was my travel bag, and I put my GR1 inside my GR2 to fly out, so that I only had 1 bag on my back. And inside my GR1, like my event bag, was all of my event clothes, the hiking boots that I was going to wear because it was snowing. I had a couple layers and inside the second sleeve of the GR2 was all of my actual like day gear, socks and underwear, fucking silkies, t-shirts, an extra hoodie, all that jazz. And then your cables and your wires and all that shit. On the way back, you've got all this dirty, nasty, gross stuff that you're carrying with you. That's when I break it down into 2 bags. I pack a little bit looser on the way back so that I have the event bag still filled with all the event gear, but that's where all the gross stuff goes now. And then my GR2, which is my travel bag, stays clean with all the extra stuff. And then, you always come home carrying more than when you left. So that's the other thing you got to plan for, is don't stuff your bag to the brim and then don't expect that, oh, I'm going to buy nothing when I'm there, or someone's going to give you something, or there's going to be a hand-me-down, or, whatever, you buy a hoodie from the city that you're at, any of that garbage. But that's all like basic travel shit anyway. I think the biggest thing really is you reach out and have a contact with somebody that's there so that you can eliminate a need to fight off TSA, not get, the Dr. Jellyfingers pat down because you decided to bring a 25-pound weight through security. And they're like, at the very least, right? Like, even if you win the argument with TSA, it's going to be a 25-minute argument that you have to stand there and explain to them, well, what is this? And what are you planning on doing with it? And then, well, wait, I have to go on the Tough page and post on there and see if they can give me their opinions about what I should be doing and all that garbage. Fucking keep it simple. Talk to somebody on the other side. Have them help you out. At the very least, if you don't know anybody, go on Google Maps. Find the airport. Find where you're staying. Find a Home Depot in between those 2 places. Pull into the Home Depot. Spend the $15. Buy your brick pack. Write your name on it. Continue on with your fucking life. That's all. It's not that hard.
It's not. And one of the nice things about our community is that, everyone's generally pretty nice. So it's easy to go out there and post on the event page and be like, hey, I'm flying at this time. Does anyone want to share an Uber or a Lyft or whatever? Because it's, reunion weekend. If there's ever an event outside of maybe Bragg or probably Normandy has a lot of people traveling in for.
Oh, yeah.
But I would imagine that this is one of the events that has more people traveling even for it than other ones. I guess 9/11 in New York probably has a lot of people flying in.
Yeah, 9/11 New York would be super good too. Yeah. I think that's a good point to make, is that, and my brain kind of settled on the traveling for an event, not traveling for this event specifically. you're right. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are flying into Jax. There's going to be a lot of people that are being very vocal about the fact that they're flying into Jax. And this year, you've also got the benefit of there's going to be like, I don't want to call it like a summit, but there's going to be the leaders of different ruck clubs that are coming out to Jacksonville, basically to get FaceTime with HQ and with Jason so that they can kick ideas back and forth. To kind of discuss how things are going within the community of, ruck clubs themselves. So not only do you have this group, this community that we all belong to, that's all going to be in the same place at the same time. But then within that community, you kind of have like a secondary subset of people that are running crews and running clubs that are all going to be there as well. And it's just another notch in the belt that's just like, hey man, we're all going to be the same place at the same time. Like you said, hey, is anybody, I'm flying in at this time. Who's going to be there? When do you land? Where are you staying? Are you at this hotel? Like, you don't want to wait until Sunday morning when you're checking out and then you see some guy with a GR1 and you're like, oh wait, you were staying here the whole time? Like, just dumb shit like that. Don't be a stranger, and don't be afraid to put your hand up and say, hey, I'm going to be here at this time. Where are we all going? Where's the party? When are we getting started? Where are we having breakfast? And side note, tangent, fucking Maple Street Biscuit Company. I think that's the name of it. That's where you fucking have breakfast in Jacksonville. Oh my God, that place is fucking amazing. I've eaten there. I think I've gone through Jack's 3 times. Yeah. And every time we've been down there, I eat at that place, and it is absolutely fucking amazing. You're welcome.
Add it to the show notes. Absolutely.
Cross-check me, like trust but verify. But it's, I saw that place. Jason had made a post about, in the morning we get together at HQ and we go for a ruck, and then we stop by this place and we have biscuits and, and all this other stuff. And I had known that I was going to be driving cross country and we were going to stop in Jacksonville, and I was looking at it. I was like, man, this place looks amazing. We look at the menu. My wife's a vegetarian. Look at that. Plenty of stuff for you to eat. Okay, great. Sounds good. We're going to eat there. That's amazing. And oh my God, I waited to eat at that place for about a year. And I got there and walked in and was like, I know exactly what I want, and ordered everything, and then went outside and ate it. And it was just like, oh, this place does not disappoint. And if I lived next door to it, I would have to be working much harder than I am now to make sure that I do not look like the blueberry child from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
That sounds amazing. And jumping back on your point about staying in a hotel and, running into someone who's rocking a GR1, did the event, but you had no clue was staying in the same place you were. I mean, if you're flying in for this, you're shelling out money for the event, you're shelling out money for the hotel, for the flights. Make the most of it. Figure out who's staying where and have the best time you can.
That's what I'm saying, dude. I mean, going to Jax as is, you're going to have HQ as a beacon, right? Well, I guess Scars, technically, because there's old HQ, which is Scars, and basically like that's like the meeting place. And then you've got HQ proper, which is like GR corporate, which is lots of computers and lots of people sitting behind desks. That isn't as exciting as the brick wall and one of every ruck we've ever made, and then Jason's original ruck in the corner, and here's a set of Vietnam boots hanging over this thing, and then pictures of Jaws and Rambo and all that other shit they got all over the walls. But it's that's kind of your beacon, right? Like that's like your lighthouse. And I have a feeling it is not going to be a big deal at any given time that weekend for you to show up on that doorstep and be like, hey, at a minimum, right? Like if you can't catch up with anybody on the Tough page or on the event page or by texting people or by staying in physical contact or, any sort of contact with people, if you were to just randomly show up at HQ and just be like, hey, what's going on and where do I go? They're going to be like, oh, everybody's here. Go there. Like, oh, okay, cool. I don't think that's going to be hard to fucking do at all.
And that's free to do. Like you've already dropped 100 on the events, 100 plus, maybe 300 for flights. Maybe if you're staying for 2 nights, what would that be, like $250 for a hotel? You've already dropped, you might be in this over $600.
Yeah, you're in deep for a decent vacation.
Yeah, choose the free thing. Don't spend all this money, go there, and then not meet up with anyone outside of the event.
That's a big thing, man. Like you can sleep when you're home. You know what I mean? Like that's one of the things is now don't get me wrong. Like I love my sleep and I will make damn sure I get my 8 hours, especially when I have to be at work in the morning, things along that line. But if you're in a city for like 72 hours and you're going there to do an endurance event where you're going to be awake over the course of a night, and then you have a limited amount of time before you have to get back on a plane, man, do it. Take a 3-hour nap and turn that shit around and go back out and do stuff. Even if you're not going to go to the light, or, as an example, I don't remember if they're doing a light or if they're doing a scav or
They're doing a
whatnot.
scav.
But, they're doing a scav. Okay, so there you go. Go do the goddamn scav, man. Like, doesn't matter if you're tired. You go get you a fucking Red Bull and a shot of fucking Stoli and turn around and go back out and have a good time. Because you know what? If you're on the plane on the way home on Sunday night or Monday morning, you're not going to be saying to yourself, man, I sure am glad I stayed in the hotel room and watched fucking Fox and Friends while everybody else was running around doing fucking, Jaeger bombs and handstands on the beach and taking pictures. Like, that's when you go out and fucking make memories. That's what all of this shit is about. Like, if you're going to spend money to have an experience, go fucking have a good experience. Don't stay inside and play it safe, right? Like, there's times to do that. If there's a fucking winter weather advisory outside and it's 2.5 feet of snow and they're shutting down the roads, yes, absolutely. Stay inside, doctor up that hot chocolate and fire up the Netflix machine and stay there for as long as you possibly can. But if you're in town with a bunch of other weirdos who are all looking to have a good time, have drinks, tell stories, bullshit, and talk about fucking GORUCK, go do it. You know what I mean? Like, don't hide inside. That's the thing that always drives me nuts. Like, people go on vacation and then they never want to leave the rope. It's just like, just go, man. Go outside. Go live your fucking life for a hot minute.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm in the boat. Find the cheapest hotel room you can and then go have fun.
Because you're not going to stay there.
Exactly. The
hotel room needs to have a bed and a sink. Like, it doesn't even need a shower. If it has a shower, that's a bonus.
You make a sink work for sure.
done, more with less, I guess. But
yeah, right. So this is an event where people are flying in for, people who are excited about this kind of stuff. When you go to a traditional tough, a light, you've got people they really like GORUCK, they like rucking, they're excited to be there. You've got people who are dragged there by their friends. You have people who did a Google search. This is it. I mean, I was at Constellation last weekend and there were 3 people who showed up and they had never done anything GORUCK related. And they were hoping to learn about earthquake protection and what to do.
Wow.
They were shocked, to say the least, when the pepper spray came out.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't remember the last time an earthquake pepper sprayed you in the face, but
yeah, right.
Dustin had to triple check with them. He's like, you guys know what you're getting yourself into, right?
And they're like, yeah, we're going to be learning how to distill water. I'm like, that's fine. That makes sense, right?
Right? You duck under the desk and then you stay there while you hold and then everything's okay.
Yeah, that's right. Duck and cover.
Yep.
Oh, god damn.
Earthquake, nuclear blast, doesn't matter. Duck and cover. You'll be safe.
Yeah. I feel like there's always a couple people like that in like every Constellation class. In Boston, the Constellation that I did in Boston, where we had Hot Mike and oh god, who was the other one? Shit, I always forget his name. He looks like Tom Cruise and he runs Southern Pines Brewing Company. John, I think it's John. Yeah. Either way, we hit the portion of the night where they were having like kind of like the back and forth, and they were discussing different concepts of I want to say it was like water procurement. And when the conversation started and it got away from the practical application and the physical exertion, that's when all the guys that were there, who you could tell spent most of their time sitting behind a keyboard, having conversations in a theoretical space, brought out all of their super good ideas and wanted to throw all of their like scenarios and their ideas at the cadre and be like, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And I'm like, oh God, it is 1:30 in the morning and it is not time to validate one of your like 65 survival scenarios that you've written up online and not tested in person. But you get either that or, like you said, the people that have no idea what they're walking into and then get a neck full of pepper spray and are, burning for days on end afterwards.
You get a lot of different people at those events. But bringing it back full circle to Reunion, there's a good chance.
It's like stay on target.
Yep, stay on target.
On target.
It's like, we're going to hit the Death Star. We got this.
Yeah. Telling you, it's like the Luke Skywalker fucking targeting system coming down.
Bring it full circle back. You're not going to have a lot of those people at Reunion.
No, hell.
You might have a couple locals, but no one flying in. You're going to have a lot more people flying in, showing up, having fun, that are excited about this stuff.
Yeah. And you get a lot of you're going to get a lot of the OGs. Like, you get a lot of the old timers the people that, did GORUCK back when it was hard, quote unquote. You get the double digit, single digit class number of people that show back up. Like, that's when they come out, right? Like, that's when the folks start like coming out of the woodwork. Is they're like, oh, hey, we're gonna get together and we're gonna do this. Like, they're bringing Bo back as a cadre for this.
Right.
That in and of itself is gonna bring back people that haven't done an event since Bo was a cadre, because they're like, oh, well, Bo's not here, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, oh, okay, that's fair.
Man, I almost broke my neck when they made an announcement, flipping my head around.
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah. Man, I was stoked as life for that. Like, that's honestly, that's one of the things that, that's one of the things that I'm kind of missing about. I mean, obviously I want to do the event, but like, I can catch up with people again. I can see folks. I can go and do dumb shit with my friends in a different city and, spend the rent money in a fucking jukebox and, shot the Jameson. Like, that's cool. I can do that whenever. But like, the only time I've actually had any interaction with Bo was he showed up at Class 1000 years ago in San Francisco. Like, I remember being, man, on the Presidio, like on the pitch, just like getting worked over, and I looked up and there was some dude standing there wearing a fucking fur coat looking like Tyler Durden from Fight Club. I had no idea who the fuck it was. And then after the fact, somebody was like, oh yeah, did you see Bo showed up? And I was like, no shit, that's him? Like, that's the guy I keep hearing all about? Like, oh fuck, okay. Then he pops up on the website and I'm like, god damn it. All right. Oh well, I guess I'll just have to go down to Los Angeles and drink. That's fair.
There's worse boats you could be in.
Yeah. It'll happen again. Something else will pop up.
Yeah, for sure.
Who can say what's good or bad, right? Like, you never really know what's going to happen or how things are happening until they kind of play out, and just take it from there. It's good. Go for the ride.
Yeah, Bo hasn't run an event in ages. So,
yeah.
I mean, he used to run them all the time. I mean, man, the shirts he'd wear, that guy. So, when I saw that he was going to be there, I was like, man, how did this come to be?
I can't even imagine. I mean, I have no idea.
I know, right? So,
although that's got a good vibe to it, though, right? Like, if you're coming together for a reunion, like, hey, a bunch of you weirdos have done events with this guy before. Hey, we're going to bring him back out. To go back to the wrestling analogy, like coming tearing ass out of the locker room, and you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen this guy in like 2 years. And he's rehabbed his injuries, and now he's back, and he's beating the hell out of somebody with a steel chair. Except it's, not a steel chair, it's a beach, and someone is you. So, whatever.
The analogy still fits.
Yes. Oh God. Yeah, man. I was at the end of Austin reunion. Man, I was pretty tore up. Like, but and not in a bad way. I know how it sounds, but doing the event and going out partying with everybody the night before, and then getting into the event, catching 5 hours or so of like haggard sleep in a hostel with 6 of my friends, and then doing the event, and then getting off the event, and that's also when the roast was, and I took part in that. So it was kind of like getting off of the event and then getting back to the team house, and then, punching back in, going back on the clock, and, did that, wrapped everything up at the team house, had some drinks, said goodbye, worked my way down 6th Street, got back over to the hostel, copped, probably the longest that I slept that weekend, like maybe 6 hours or so. And then got up and went into the Taco Ruck with Central Texas and cruised around, and then went to my buddy's modification studio and got some work done, and then went out drinking one last time with Mickey and a few other people before we were going to wrap out the weekend. And then I think I caught maybe, I don't know, 3-4 hours of sleep, and then it was time to call an Uber and get back on a plane and go back to Boston. And then, that's a 4-hour flight back up to the city, and then get home. And then, man, I was ready for sleep when I got back to that. But I don't regret, at any point, I don't regret thinking, oh crap, I should have taken more sleep when I was in Austin. Like, no, man, if anything, I probably should have stayed out an extra hour. I should have spent a little bit more time with the people that I wanted to see, because, you never know when, none of us know how long we've got or when you're going to check out. And it's just like, fuck, if you've got that hour right in front of you, yeah, you may as well take it. Whatever. You'll get a little more sleep later, or you won't. Either way, it'll be fine.
It'll all work out.
Yeah.
That's the thing with, traveling for the event, right? You're flying in, so you're mentally taxed because you're trying to make sure you brought everything. You didn't forget a bag at home or whatever. Trying to figure out the flights, get in, trying to figure out the Uber, get to the hostel, just all the logistics involved. So your brain's taxed. You're drinking, so your liver's taxed. Like, your liver's taking one for the team.
Pedialyte, motherfucker. That's what you do. If you want a legit travel tip from fucking traveling and drinking all over the fucking place, you take your ass to fucking Target or Walmart and you go get yourself a couple bottles of Pedialyte. You keep that shit in the hotel room and you supplement water and Pedialyte. That will do wonders for you.
And for those who haven't played the Pedialyte game, is that before, after, during?
A lot of the times that I've been to Vegas, it was been all three. I think I've drank more Pedialyte in Vegas than anywhere else, mostly because we're in the fucking desert when I do so. But I mean, there was one trip I remember we were drinking Grey Goose and purple Pedialyte, and because the rationale was, well, we're gonna dehydrate and rehydrate at the same time. This is gonna be great. I don't know if it really worked, but I definitely, drank like an asshole that trip, and I didn't really feel the effects too bad, so that wasn't terrible. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, when you come home and you're drunk and you're like, oh, I should probably pound a couple glasses of water. The next level is, oh, I should have this Gatorade, or I should have this Gatorade when I wake up in the morning. I just do Pedialyte instead of Gatorade. It works a little bit better for me anyway.
Good to know.
I'll tell you what, you want another fucking idea? Maybe this is the whiskey talking, but if you're flying into Jack, right? If you want to get the most out of your event, here's a simple fucking trick that you can do. Go into your iPhone or whatever fancy fucking smartphone that you have and open up your timer and do the math, right? Do the math from the minute you land in Jacksonville to the minute you set foot and go wheels up back in that plane. Figure out what that time is in hours, put it on your phone and set it to count down. And then anytime you're trying to decide whether or not you should do something while you're there, open up your phone and watch that timer ticking down and watch all of that time slipping away. And then ask yourself, should I stay for another drink, or should I go out and do this, or should we go check out this thing over here, or should I go for this ruck on the beach, or should I go see these people? Look at that timer and then make that decision, because I promise you, if you think of it in those terms and you see the time slipping away like that, you will not question it anymore. You'll be like, fuck it, let's go.
That's phenomenal advice. If there's any nugget of wisdom that anyone should take out of this episode, the 4 people who made it this far, that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. You've wasted another perfectly good hour.
Yep.
You listened to me and Brian drink for an hour. That's great.
Looking back on traveling, down to ABSOC, I mean, I don't regret not sleeping, because all the fun that we've had traveling for GORUCK events, all the fun that I've had traveling with, friends, family. I mean, the stuff you remember is the good times, not so much the sleep.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's cliche, but I mean, you can sleep when you're dead, dude. Like, that's for a bunch of people that enjoy staying up overnight to carry heavy shit and, fuck up a perfectly good weekend by, completely trashing your sleep schedule for the next 3 days. It's not a really hard concept to master, but I think a lot of people, when it comes to budgeting time over the course of a weekend, it's just like, well, yeah, no, I think I do want to go, and I think I do want to, sleep a little bit, or I want to rest, or I want to relax. Like, resting, relaxing, that's all good. Take a shower, that's cool, man. But then, go back out, like when we were at ABSOC and we were done and I was just like, fuck that, I'm not going back. And I went to the hotel room and I slept for like 6 hours. I wasn't really sleeping, like I was laying down and I was kind of in and out of consciousness, but I wasn't really, I could have been up, and at the very least I could have been, holding up a bar stool, having a couple cocktails with people that I wasn't going to see again for a while. And that is something that I do regret. By and large, it's often the things that we don't do that we regret, not the things that we actually do. So if you have the chance, man, you go out and, go make some friends. It's like I've said it before in various other contexts, but it still applies to this. Like, I can't promise you that you're going to be best friends with everybody that you meet over the course of the weekend, but I can tell you that if you don't try, you will absolutely never know. And that's what the crux of these events, the reunion events specifically, are based around, is go out, man, mix it up, get in some trouble, get into some hood rat shit, fucking have a good time, make some mistakes. Like, the challenges are a place to make mistakes in a controlled environment so that you can learn from them. The reunions are kind of the same. Maybe you aren't supposed to drink that many frozen Red Bull vodka slushies at one time. You never know, how far is too far until you go too far, right?
And then you've got your limit, and for next time.
Yeah. The wisdom of Hunter S. Thompson. Buy the ticket, take the ride.
There you have it. What better place to try and meet people to hang out with than GORUCK Reunion? It's the funnel, right? you've got at the very top, you have all these people who are, kind of interested in GORUCK. And then the funnel goes down. It's like people who have done one event, two events. And the funnel gets smaller and smaller. It's like people who are going to travel across the country or drive hours to go to the reunion event. I mean, that's
Yeah.
GORUCK's done the work. I mean, you're more likely to meet people there that you have things in common with than probably anywhere else.
And let me tell you, man, like when the first time you travel or the first time that you meet people, that sets up this chain, right? Of when you get to see these people again, it's absolutely amazing. Like, trying to think of an example. I mean, one of my best ones is Steffi McGrew. Like, I see her exclusively, because she's, fucking thousands of miles away. I see her exclusively through traveling. So when I do get together with her, and get to spend time and see her, it's just like, oh man, we've only got 3 days together, and some of that's going to be spent over the course of an event. I just want to get together and hang out and, do cool shit before we have to break camp and go home, So same thing with like, Heather Williams with Travis Manion Foundation. I met her down in Jack's Beach and got to hang out with her for a while and spend time together. And then she was at Reunion in Austin. And it was just like, even if you only spend a weekend with somebody and you do it under, kind of crazy circumstances, the next time that you get back together with that person to hang out, it's just like, holy shit, it's like nothing changed. You pick up right where you leave off and you get back into some fun shit and have a good weekend.
And is that what reunions are supposed to be?
I think so. Hence, the theme of the event.
When they first released Reunion, I thought they were selling it as a way to get a lot of people to sign up so that all the cadre could come together and have their own reunion, right?
And that's what, yeah, I swear, like the first one was called like the Cadre Reunion, wasn't it?
I have no idea, but
Or I remember there was a Cadre Reunion in, I want to say it was DC. I specifically remember one of our friends leaving and going back east and going to something that was designated as like a Cadre Reunion, and somebody will maybe somebody that's been in the game longer than I have will probably correct me.
You mean someone's screaming at their speakers right now?
Yeah, whoever's made it this far.
The one person left. It was on this date. It was called this.
See, you used to drink on Thursdays to celebrate the release of the podcast. Now you're going to drink on Thursdays when you see how many people have unsubscribed and how many stars you've lost. It's going to be,
when the 1-star reviews start rolling through.
Yeah. Oh, tangent, right? Stand by. It's going to go off on a tangent. There's a podcast that I listen to occasionally when I'm working out called Darknet Diaries. I meant to tell you about this before, and I keep slipping my mind. It's basically all about it's like a hacking podcast, but it's not like zeros and ones type of hacking and like binary code and like coding and all sorts of crazy shit like that. There's a lot more like various stories about different hacking enterprises, and it's everything from let's see, one of the stories was a guy that hacked MMORPGs and was like thrown off of server after server after server and just like kept cracking codes and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the one that jogged my memory that I just listened to recently was a story about how nobody really knows what the algorithms on the podcasts are in terms of how they get ranked. And somebody cracked it, and there was somebody overseas was running I don't want to say a scam because it was, they were getting what you pay for, but through Fiverr, the website where you can pay like, a certain amount of money for people to do like odd jobs and small tasks, they were paying people to mess with the algorithms. So they were taking podcasts that had absolutely zero intrinsic value and they were rocketing through the tops of the charts, and nobody could figure out how to do it. And it's just because a couple guys somewhere figured out how the algorithm works, and it was just like, oh, you've got a couple extra bucks? Okay, great. And they would just fire these podcasts at the top of the list. It was absolutely insane. And he wouldn't, in the story,
crazy.
They didn't really talk a whole lot about how it was done for apparent reasons. But I was just like, I was listening to that. I was just like, my God, like, okay, they finally figured it out. They got the golden goose. Like, ugh. So you can get all those people back.
Yeah.
They go fleeing from the ship. You can, spend $5 or $10 and just get bumped back up into the top of the ratings. It'll be good.
Yeah, the problem is that it's going to be, it won't be GRT replacing it. It's going to be Robots.
Yeah. All the same robots that send me, the same robots with the beautiful pictures that send me messages on Instagram telling me how much they love me and they want to marry me.
Exactly. Those ones. Is there any other advice that you have for people who might be going to reunion, might be traveling for events, or might be just looking to have a fun time with other GRT traveling?
Going to Jack's, I mean, just in and of itself, I can't overstress. Get out, go fucking have a good time and enjoy things. And don't get caught up in, I think the other side of the coin for everything is don't get caught up in the little shit. The little shit has the potential to torpedo your weekend. Things didn't go the right way. My cab was late. This cost an extra $5. Oh, they don't have the brand of beer that I like. I don't normally eat this food. Anything like that. If you get to a junction where something small is going to ruin your time or your experience, fuck it, man. Just let it roll. It just, roll off the back and move on to the next thing. You're there to have a good time, not complain about shit and worry about things. Take care as much as you can on the way in so that you don't have to fly with it. Doesn't matter where you're going. I mean, that's a pretty basic one. Even to the point where, if you've got the time on the other end, fucking take 15 minutes and swing through Target and buy all your toiletries there so you don't have to fly with them. Little basic stuff that you don't have to worry about. But yeah, go eat, fucking have a good time. Say hi to everybody from me because I'm not going to be there. Go do something stupid and fucking, spend a little too much money, stay up too late, eat a little bit too much, and then worry about it when you get home. That's it.
Thank you so much for listening to the All Day Ruckoff podcast. This has been episode 92 with Steven DeToma. Very appreciative that he came on again. It's been his third time on the show. He's a ton of fun to talk to, and I got a lot out of this conversation. I hope you did too. If you want to support the All Day Ruckoff podcast, you can always head on over to iTunes or our Facebook page. Just search for All Day Ruckoff when you get there and leave a review. Those are truly appreciated. If you want to support the All Day Ruckoff podcast financially, you can always head on over to our store, alldayruckoff.com/store, where we have cat hats, we've got beanies with Velcro, we've got rucking gear, a lot of different stuff, patches, everything from there obviously helps support the podcast. So truly, truly appreciated. If you're curious about anything we talked about during this episode, you can visit the show notes, alldayruckoff.com/podcast/episode-092. And if you are headed to GORUCK Reunion, that is awesome. I really hope that you got a lot of information from this episode, and I'd love to hear from you. Shoot me an email, brian@alldayruckoff.com. I hope you have a great time down there. It should be a ton of fun. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for the incredible support. And don't forget, attitude is everything. Keep yours positive and drink hard, ruck harder.